Hi, I'm Charlie. Welcome to this week's live. It's Saturday. I hope you all had a very good week. I've actually want to say thank you. I've had the luxury of welcoming 30, 40, 50 people a day all week long to the group. Um, and a lot of them are coming from invitations. So I really, really appreciate that. Sorry, I'm cleaning off the whiteboard from last week. But anyway, welcome to the live. Every week we do this live feed, almost every week. We do this live feed. Sorry, I couldn't do it last week. I had a recording session out in the desert. So I was up until the wee hours of the morning playing rock and roll and then sleeping in and then eating too much and then playing more rock and roll for days and days and days on end because that's what I do outside of this stuff. Anyway, clean whiteboard. You guys are here. Good to see you. Let me get this light on so I got some more in the situation. Is this going to work? I don't know. Okay. So I don't have a lot of light. That's fine. Whatever. Whiteboard. You can see it. All right. We're good to go. So let me crack this little bubbly water. We'll get started. This week we're going to cover a deep dive into the theory of automated rules and some bit more practices in there, some more examples. Hi, Evan. How you doing? And we're also going to cover a lot of your questions, which is great. You know, every week when we do this, you guys can ask your questions in the days leading up to the post or anytime live in the chat. And if you ask any questions, hi, Alex. Hi, Trish. If you ask any questions during the live, I'll answer them later during the live. And if you ask them, say you watch this and it's actually December, go ahead and ask a question and I'll answer them. That's what we do here. We try to make things better for people and train folks up. That's basically it. This is an anti-guru situation. I've spent the last few years defining best practices hand in hand with Facebook, and a lot of the case studies that we work and a lot of the tactics that we come up with eventually get taught to agencies, which eventually get passed on to top-level marketers, and eventually get sold as courses 9 months to a year and a half down the line. So I got sick and tired of seeing all these gurus making hundreds or thousands of dollars off of people, just basically having like overnight get-rich-quick schemes, and I felt like, you know what, screw it. They're ripping me off. I'm going to undermine them by giving this shit away for free because to be fair, do well enough in my day job, and I don't have the infrastructure and the time to come up with all of this like ClickFunnels coursework and all this shit to rip people off. So whatever, we just have this group, and based on that, we're all better because of it. And I've gotten a lot of really great ideas from people from you, and I got a lot of really great experience because before I was doing this, I was managing mid-cap brands. I'm a Facebook disruptor inside of the top 100 advertisers on the Facebook platform. And before that, I was running big ad agencies. I was in charge of CBS and Nissan and a bunch of other things. So anyway, welcome here. Nice to see you. Hundreds and hundreds of new people. There's still almost 200 new people that I still have to accept, but I can only do like up to 50 a day. So it's insane. Also, the group is now public, which means you can share this to anybody else's group. And we're going to get started. In addition, we have a Patreon. If you do just enjoy this and you want to say thank you, you can join up there. There's some ebooks and a catalog of all of these live feeds going back like for the last year is available there. And as mentioning ebooks, every week we do homework. And if you do any of the homework from any of the live feeds from any of the weeks, you get any of the ebooks for free, or you can get 50% off the Patreon. There's also a private Slack channel, which serves as like if you want some like one-on-one help, a really great way to do that. And it's just like a monthly fee, and you can talk with me and a bunch of other really top-end advertisers. Rabba has been in there since the very beginning. He used to run a huge fucking brand, and now he's doing some other really great stuff. There's a lot of people. I don't want to drop names. I don't want to do things, but we've got some of the world's best advertisers in this group, and I mean that because they're managing brands that are spending $50 to $100 million. People in this group have $50, $500 a month Facebook ad budgets, and there are people in this group spending $50,000 a day or more. So we're all over the place. So hopefully this is helpful. I'm going to take a drink of this and we'll get started. By the way, pamplemousse. This is my kryptonite. I love this. I could drink 1,000 of these. It's crazy. Anyway, so getting started. This week's homework is going to be really simple. I'd love for you to make one automated rule in Facebook. However you want to do it, whatever you want to do, all you have to do is show me that you have one automated rule, that you're making an automated rule. So select a campaign, an ad set, or an ad, and go up to the menu above your ads manager. And on the very end, it says rules. Just create a rule. That's it. I'm going to, and if you do that, then let me see what the exact button says. I'm refreshing one of my ads managers here. So yeah. So if you're up here, it says create, duplicate, edit, and then some buttons and some deletes and everything, and then it says rules. So if you go up into the rules, and then you hit create rule, and just take a screenshot of that and direct message it to me, that's it. That's your homework for the week. If you do that, you get any of the ebooks for free, you get half off the Patreon, anything that you want. It'll be available, also half off the Slack. So check it out. And it's just that easy this week. And the way you do it, like I said, highlight any one item. I tend to make the rules at the campaign level, so it applies to everything within the campaign uniformly. And so in creating a rule, take a screenshot of that. That's it. That's all you need to do. This isn't a get-rich-quick thing. I got no courses to sell. You do that thing, I'll give it to you whatever I got for free. And they're not like some pay gate click thing to eventually get to something else. You can get in there and understand that we've had a lot of people doing a lot of the homework. And, it's ebooks on automated rules, retargeting, the funnel, my bucket-based CBO strategy, the cost cap CBO strategies, CBO in general. Some of the top practices that I have, which used to be public posts inside of the group, and they just got so popular. I was like, I'm just going to put them in an ebook and catalog them. So there's 2 books of me being a 7-figure a month advertiser. What are some of the daily practices and best things that I do on a daily basis? So all of that's available. Do the homework, direct message me. You get it for free. I love it. It's just that easy. Let's dive into the class work today. So today we're going to dive into the theory behind a lot of these automated rules. And I'm also going to hopefully finish an ebook based on the creative testing models and the top 3 or 4 creative ways of doing creative testing. And some of those rely on a lot of automated rules. So then the piece after that, I'm actually so excited about the ebook I'm going to write after that I almost kind of want to not do the creative testing, but I need to do it. I'm just very excited. It'll be about the scare tactic. Hey, Rosie, long time no see, man. Good to see you. I guess the live feed with where you're at, we're live now. We got people all around the world. So anyway, getting into the live feed today. So automated rules. First off, what are automated rules? Automated rules are things you can set up, logic statements that are like if this, then that type statements inside of Facebook. So why do I use them? The majority of the time that I'm using automated rules is to turn off or turn on ads, ad sets, or campaigns throughout the day. And I'm doing that so that I don't have to manage the platform. A lot of people spend a lot of their time going in there and turning off ads, and, raising budgets and turning off ad sets and trying to, adjust for different targeting and different layering and all this type of stuff. That takes a lot of work, and honestly, it's guesswork, and it's extremely labor intensive. And the majority of the time, we put a lot of emotion into it. Like, we'll keep ads on because we like the ad and we think it's going to do well, or we'll keep ad sets on because we, really think this audience is going to do well. Oh, we don't have faith in this audience, so we're going to turn it off right away. Or we don't like this campaign, so we're going to turn it off and make 3 more. Like, there's a lot of that work, which is extremely laborious. It can take hours every day. And it's also highly inaccurate. Very few of us have the self-control, including myself, to use those rules and come up with uniform business rules that we're going to apply equally all the time. and then have the self-control to do it. And then also sometimes just the memory of like, what was the rule? How am I applying it? I used to like write them down. It's a pain in the ass. So now, how do I get this on here? I'm so ADD. So now, Facebook has these automated rules, and I'll tell you this, the majority of the top advertisers are not yet using the automated rules, so it's really exciting. This is one of the reasons that I'm latching onto it, but it's also just a core element of how I do business, because if I'm managing $10,000 a day, $50,000 a day, or $200 a day, there's no way I can remember all of these different things. And what I'm trying to do is assign very basic business rules that I want to apply equally, because Facebook runs with scientific, like anything else. You have to use the scientific method, and you have to measure everything against the same, goals and whatnot. So having the automated rules in place allows me to control my ecosystem without actually having to do the work. My work is now trying to adjust to make sure the rules are fitting my business objectives, but I'm not in the ad sets every day. I'm not on the ads every day. I'm not inside the campaigns, pushing budgets, pulling things. That is so far removed from what I do every day, because honestly, I don't have to. And I'm letting Facebook do it. And Facebook is awake 24 hours a day, and the rules run every half an hour. So that's one thing to remember, is that the rules run every 30 minutes unless you specify otherwise. So that's why we're using them and how we're using them. So to get behind some of the most basic level rules that we have, I would say the number one most commonly used rule that I use, and the people that I work with, whether it's consulting or my day job or anything else, the number one batch of rules is stop loss rules. This is stolen from, this is the type of theory that they use inside of stock trading. It basically says, if today is going poorly, then I don't want to invest in today anymore. And this can look really simple. And so we're going to write out a couple of stop loss rules right here. We're going to write around the theory behind the rules. In the last live, we actually went over how to do it and some of the bigger steps. But right now, we're just going to type in the theory of how these rules work. So there's a couple of things that we want to do. The first set of rules is just to say, if I have spent a certain amount of money today and don't have a sale, then I'm willing to say, you know what, today isn't good for that thing. I'm going to turn that off and force Facebook to spend elsewhere. Now, to address a question right off the bat, it has no negative impact to turn ads on, turn ads off, turn ad sets on and off, turn campaigns on and off in the middle of the day as you go, as you want to. There's no negative impact to the delivery from Facebook, to the data, none of that. It's a very stable system. A year and a half ago, it was a real big deal, and it was terrible to do that, and you just had to sit there and deal, but not anymore. So I'm going to let you know, as somebody that will spend $500 a month or $10,000 a day or $50,000 a day, these ads are being turned on and off all the time. And there's absolutely no negative impact. So first thing that we're going to do is, these are stop loss rules. These are intra-day stop loss rules. So you're setting up your rules. You just say, I want this applied to today. And you set it to the attribution level that you're measuring everything by. Now, if you've been in the group for a long time, you know that my favorite way of assigning attribution, modifying and measuring everything, is on a one-day click. It doesn't tell the whole story, but if you make the one-day click better, everything gets better. It is the unit rate of everything inside of Facebook, and it means that you're not taking credit for anybody else's work, which makes your job harder, but it also makes you far, far better. Shortcuts are for cheaters. Cheaters never win, all that fun stuff. If you want to make money, make it very difficult for yourself, but also you can set these rules so that you don't actually have to work very hard. It just means you have to work smart, not hard, and that's how you're going to be better than everybody else. So, first set of rules, we are going to set something up where our goal here is to say, is to prevent our ad account from spending too much money on losers, right? So this is set up in the theory of, if we have a campaign and say our target cost is 10 bucks, say our target CPA is 10 bucks. Now for these rules to work, you have to understand what is the price that you can sell something at where you make money, or that is good for your business objective. So today we're going to say a $10 target cost, target CPA. Let's just say that. So that's going to be the basis of everything, because we're going to set the rules built around this target CPA. So with that being said, we now have to set up rules. Now, the first set of rules we're going to do is just turn off. So this is going to be, if you have 0 purchases, turn it off. Now, this basically means if you've been spending money today and you have no results, desirable results, you haven't made a sale, at some point, for whatever reason, that ad set or that campaign isn't working today. And maybe you'll lose a sale that would have happened at 10 o'clock at night, but odds are, if you stop the spending when you have just a failure of a day, which happens all the time, you will save a lot of money that you shouldn't have spent. Or if you're turning off like one ad instead of an ad set and there's like 4 or 5 ads, you turn off the ad that isn't working and it forces spend to other ads that are working. Because eventually what will happen is the only ads that are turned on and spending money today are the ones getting results. And you know what? As odd as it sounds, one ad might work on a Tuesday, another ad might work on a Saturday. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to it. Just Facebook is trying to figure out where the right impressions are. So Facebook is learning and it's making mistakes and it's giving you wins. So in that whole process, if Facebook is making too many mistakes today, which happens all the time, then you're just going to say, I'm fine not spending money there today. This alone will scale your spend without having to raise your budgets. You will scale your spend on your winners, and it'll automatically improve your bottom line performance, or you won't spend as much. So you're either going to have more spend where you like it or less spend overall. And it means that you, as an advertiser, just have to make sure that your ads look good and that you're providing the best quality product for the news feed inside of Facebook or Instagram, so that the people that look at that end up taking actions. The number one most overlooked thing inside of Facebook, oddly enough, is the ad. Most people are trying to find what's the right strategy, what's the right campaign, what's the right targeting, what's the right optimization, what's the right everything. And the number one thing that sells stuff is the actual ad itself. So with these rules, we're going to try to say, if one ad isn't working well, let's try another ad. So these are the rules that I set up right now. I'm going to give you my personal thing that I set up as my default all the time, okay? So I'm going to say, I want, this is to say also that roughly we've got 3 to 5 ads inside of an ad set and 2 or 3 ad sets inside of a campaign. That is where these are set. So here, this is a very basic set of rules. Now this is 3 different rules, but what I'm saying here is, and please take a screenshot or pause it or get the ebook, right? It's free. All I have to do is set one of these things up and I'll send it to you. So anyway, we have a $10 target, and we're saying if we have 0 purchases, turn the ad off. So we're saying at the ad level, if we spend 20 bucks today and don't get a sale, fuck it, that ad isn't working. Let's spend money on a different ad. We've got several ads inside of that ad set. This one where Facebook tried to deliver ads isn't good enough. Let's turn it off. Now we've got the ad set. Now the ad set, if we're spending 5 times this much and we don't get a sale, then for whatever reason that ad set isn't working. Now, if you know me, you know that the majority of my ad sets all have the same targeting. Broad, right? Broad targeting, literally just age. That's basically it. And they're organized by concept. Now this works also if you're using lookalikes or interest groups or behaviors. And while I highly recommend you don't do that, these all also work inside of that ecosystem for you. So what we're saying here is this ad set. Say this is concept number 1, right? And we have a concept of clowns, a concept of ducks, and a concept of moms. So say the clowns concept has spent 50 some odd dollars today with no sales. It's already had a couple ads. Maybe it's got 3 ads, and one of them spent 20 bucks, 25 bucks and turned off. Another one spent like 20 something bucks and turned off. By the time that third ad spends another $10 and doesn't make a sale, the point is today that concept isn't good for me. Turn that whole thing off. Then Facebook will try to spend the money in other places. Hi Mark, how you doing? Now, if we've spent at this ad set in this campaign is spent $50 because it's 5 times my target CPA, it doesn't make a sale, the whole thing gets shut off. We also have it at the campaign level. So say I've got 2 or 3 ad sets and all of them are failing. For whatever reason, today just isn't my day for that campaign. I'll turn it off. Flat out, I don't need to lose anymore. I'm going to stop my losses. That's why it's called a stop loss rule. So in this case, if an ad spends 20 bucks with no sales, turn it off. If the ad set sends $50 with no sale, turn it off. If the campaign spends $120 with no sales, fuck it, something's wrong, turn it off. Yeah, so that's something. Now, that's a very basic level, but the idea here, and these are honestly how simple my rules are. I generally have about 12 to 15 rules in any campaign, and this is 3 of them right here in any ad account. These are 3 of them. And this is based on you understanding what your CPA target is. If you understand your CPA target, then all of this other stuff is easy. And this works whether your campaign budget is $500, whether it's $100, or whether it's $10,000. These rules still hold. Now, obviously, your multipliers have to change because this is based off of how much can you spend. So let's say here my goal is to spend $200 in a day. Then these rules fit very well. Now, if my goal is to spend $1,000 in a day, I might give these a bit more room. What I find is I'll try to set the campaign to be roughly 60% of my overall budget, right? Now, obviously, I'm applying this to many different campaigns, so it's my average campaign budget. It gets to be a little wonky, but just so you understand where these numbers are coming from, is I want to have that to be 60% of my overall budget. So if I'm saying 10 times 12 is 120, and that's roughly 60% of my overall budget, then I'm asking this campaign, my CBO budget is 200. And that's hopefully my average CBO budget for my average campaign. And hopefully you don't have too many campaigns. Hopefully you've been paying attention, you're down to like 5 or 10 campaigns total. And you can always make these rules for if you have one campaign that's retargeting and it's spending 100 bucks a day, another or 50 bucks a day, and you have another campaign that's prospecting that's 500 a day. You can, set these up differently. This is just this set of rules for this campaign. Me personally, I apply the same rules to all the campaigns, but we're all in very different ecosystems. And I've been doing this for a while. So, try it out in one place and then move from there. So then the ad set, the reason I have it about a little bit less than half is because I want multiple ad sets to fail. I want at least 2 ad sets to have the chance of failing. Now, why do I want to do that? This is because when I was first doing this, I found that the campaign would turn off, but there'd be an ad set in here. If my goal is 10 bucks, I might have an ad set that's coming in at like 6 and it's killing it. But my overall campaign isn't doing well. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's another thing. This is just the 0 purchases. So forgive me. But yeah, I want multiple campaigns to fail. So I might have 1 or 2 ad sets that aren't working well for me today. When I turn one off, if Facebook's going to spend money in the other ones. I don't want to turn off the whole campaign before I'm giving each ad set at least a chance. And the same rule applies to the ad level. I don't want to turn this whole campaign off because one ad spent 120 bucks. And so it's like, fuck it, the campaign's fucked. No, that one ad is fucked. So that ad got turned off for 20. That ad set got turned off for 50. Several ad sets eventually got turned off, and then the whole campaign shuts down. Now that means that every level has a chance to win or fail. And every level has multiple chances because you have multiple ads inside of your ad set, multiple ad sets inside of your campaigns. So this is very simple. How do I get my budgets in line and the target based off my target? And to make sure that at least if you install this level of ads, of automation, that your campaign will not lose money on a daily basis. Now, I hear you saying in there, well, if I turn them off, what happens then? One of the things that I do is, and I'm going to put this in here, is I make sure to turn my ads back on at midnight. So reactivate at 12 a.m. Every ad inside of here, every ad set, every campaign that this rule is applied to starts over at midnight. And that way, basically, if today's a bad day, tomorrow doesn't have to be a bad day, and we'll just, move forward. And this means that if you set this up, just this, your entire campaign can be on autopilot. And if you have something that's not working for you at all, it'll prevent it from spending money. So that is the first level of the automated rules, the theory behind this strategy. So the point here is, hopefully you're starting to understand why we're using the automated rules. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I can see it down here in my live feed. Thank you, Facebook, by the way, for fixing my live feed thing. I was really upset about it. I commented in, and I got some support help from my friends in the product team, and so now my live feed works again. So now we're going to try something else, which is to say another set of rules. Now, I'm going to set this up, and I'm going to talk you through it, and I'm writing it down right now. But so this is to say, if I'm not getting good enough results. So before it was, are we getting anything? So if we're getting anything, if we're not getting anything, turn it off. This is to say that I'm getting the results that I want. So in this case, I'm setting my rules up so that I'm giving my campaigns, and I'm giving my ad sets, and I'm giving my ads a chance to fail. But I'm also letting them, I'm also saying, well, let me just show you. I'm thinking about it while I'm writing it. So anyway. Okay, so here we go. So now what we have is an ecosystem where this is the next set of rules. Now this is also a stop loss rule, but this rule is set up for to say how above our target CPA at the end of the day, after we look at it in our attribution window, which let's say use 1 day click, which means within 24 hours after this, I spend the money, what is my goal to be for the cost of the results of that campaign? Now, I'm just going to throw some numbers out here, and we'll see how it works. And hopefully you kind of pick up where I'm going. So anyway, now I've got these just kind of set up as a rudimentary thing. These rules honestly move a lot depending on your campaign and your account. So first piece, going from the top. This is to say, if this campaign has spent 15 times my goal, so if this campaign spends 150 bucks And I'm at 50% over my target. So this is now, I'm at, oddly enough, $15. And then this is 12.5. And then this is 11. Okay. So if my goal is to get conversions at $10, right? $10 target. If my campaign spends 10, 15 times that, and it's getting results, we know it is, because otherwise it would have been turned off earlier. So it's getting some conversions. But say those conversions, if it costs me more than $15, turn the campaign off. And that's because I know, in my experience, that there's no way that that number is going to come down by 50%. So every dollar I'm spending in this campaign ultimately is a dollar that doesn't deliver me a return at the level that I want. I'm actually losing money to run this campaign. So at this level, this is not good business for me. So I'll turn it off. Now, same thinking, but at the ad set level. So we're saying if you spent 7 times this, and if you look, it's a little bit less than half, because we want multiple ad sets to fail. We want to give several ideas a chance at winning and several ideas a chance at failing. If this ad set is spent 7 times this, which means if you spent $70 and my cost per conversion, whether it's lead or purchase or sign up or subscription or whatever it is that you're driving, if it costs me $12.50, which is 25% more than my target, then I'm going to turn that ad set off. And the reason I'm turning it off is because I know right now that it's not very likely that this is too expensive. Maybe this is coming in at 30, 40, 50, twice what I want to pay for it. Very likely. If this is coming in at $20 and my goal is to get it at 10, this ad set is losing me money. So I'm turning it off. And the reason I'm turning this one off is because I don't want this whole campaign to die, to be turned off, because this one ad set is taking all the spend when there might be other ad sets inside of this campaign that are winning. Odds are, if you've got 2 or 3 campaigns and 2 or 3 ad sets inside of a campaign, you're going to have some that are doing good today, some that are doing bad today, and the performance every day will be wildly different. It's annoying, but that's just the rule. That's just the way of it. That's just the way it is. And I used to do all this stuff by hand, and I would do trend analysis over weeks and over days and turn things on, turn things off. This gives me a better result, and it also means that I spend about 10 minutes setting it up, and I save myself a half an hour to an hour every single day. This means that my lunch breaks are longer, if you will, or I can handle more clients, or I can do better work. So the same thinking happening at the ad level. If I'm spending 3 times this, which means, again, multiple ads can fail because I can have at least 2 ads fail and this ad set won't turn off, and my cost is coming in at 11, that's not good enough because my goal is to get sales for $10. Now, hopefully I'm getting sales for like $8, $9, maybe a couple of 3 or 4. That's great. But if one particular ad is spending a certain amount of money and not getting me the result that I want, then I'm going to turn that ad off. So this entire ecosystem here is basically saying, the first set of rules was to say we got no purchases, fuck it. It's a bad day. This one is saying I'm getting purchases or I'm getting conversions. And again, this works on any conversion that you're optimizing towards. But it's not good enough. So this is basically saying throughout the day, 24 hours a day, every half an hour, if anything crosses this threshold and isn't doing well enough, I'm going to turn it off. And again, we have this reactivate at midnight thing, so that tomorrow's another day and we give it another chance. But the same theory goes live here. Multiple ads get to fail, multiple ad sets get to fail before the campaign as a whole is turned off. But I know that this campaign as a whole, hopefully I'm spending if I'm spending close to 75% of it and it's not coming in to where I want it, then I'm going to turn it off. And again, before, where the zero sales happened at roughly 50%, it was like 60%. This is closer to 75. Because I want it to have a shot. What I don't want to have happen is for there to be just a couple hundred, a couple impressions delivered in the morning, and it does poorly, and I just don't give it a chance throughout the rest of the day. That's not good. So I want to be able for this campaign to spend as much as possible to give all of the items inside of that campaign the most chance, which is another reason that we have as few campaigns as possible so we can spend as much money inside of each campaign as we can. If we have $1,000 a day to spend or $100 a day to spend, if you divide that 4 or 5 different ways, each one is going to be able to spend a lot less, and also means these rules are going to have to be set at really low levels. Which basically means you're just not getting enough. You're just trying to get lucky. And if you're not lucky today, you're coming back tomorrow. But if you set it at a high enough level, Facebook's going to learn in a few short days what works for you and what doesn't. Now, in my experience, a lot of times what will happen is, most of the time, this is going to give you really, really good days. Now, sometimes you're going to have a bad day. Absolutely. But when you have a bad day, this is going to prevent you from being able to spend too much. In this case, if you have an ad that spends $30 and has a really bad day, that ad can't spend anymore. If you have an ad set that spends $70, it can't spend anymore. If the whole campaign spends $150 and does poorly, it can't spend anymore, which means maybe this campaign was spent at $200, $500, $1,000, or maybe your budgets are different. It means that you could have saved yourself 25, 30, 50% of your overall spend. Now, if I'm saying I would like to have this around 75% and it does poorly, that means that I'm saving myself on bad days. I am stopping the loss of 25% of my investment, which is just as good a business as selling a bunch of shit, because throwing money away is just as bad as paying too much. So hopefully that makes sense. The last bit that I want to cover here, and then we'll get into your questions, is the other side of this, which is if something's doing well or something matures, then turn it back on. Now, some people don't. I want to explain this because I get this question a lot. Some people ask me, well, if it's costing me $20 today, how is it going to ever get lower than that? Well, remember our attribution conversation. We're saying on a one-day click, we want to see this result. So what that means is within 24 hours of somebody clicking on this ad, they make a conversion. Which means that that number, say it cost me $12 to make the sale in this situation. That means that that number has 24 hours to come down. So maybe I spent $100 today and I get 5 sales. I spent $100 by noon and I get 5 sales. That cost me $20 a sale. But maybe by lunch, which would have had this thing turn off, but maybe by lunch or by dinner, a few of those people that clicked initially that didn't buy right away have come back and they've made a purchase. Or maybe my system has just told Facebook, hey, a purchase happened. Just as much as it's odd because the user takes a while, sometimes it's just a matter of like the computers haven't told each other that something happened, which is very common. Or a lot of times people will see an ad. A very common experience is somebody will see an ad in the morning and they'll look for it at lunch, or they'll see it over lunch, and maybe they'll buy at dinner, or when they're in bed, or they'll look around for it or something. This is a very common experience. Or they'll add something to cart and then they'll come back to it later because they'll think about it. They don't buy right away. For instance, when you're in the grocery store, you don't buy every item as you walk down the aisle. You put it inside your shopping cart, and then you eventually make it all the way through the store, and then you go up to the counter and then you buy it. Sometimes, I mean, my parents, when they would go shopping, they'd spend like an hour and a half in the supermarket or the grocery store. When I go, I spend like 10 minutes. But the point is, it takes a while for these conversions to occur. So because it takes a while for the conversion to occur, you have to understand that it's going to take a while. That number can, what we say, that number can mature, which is why when you see gurus up on stage saying, well, we got these really great results, what they're not telling you almost every time is that maturity window is like a month long. They're saying, well, I showed somebody my ad and within a month they made a purchase. And so that's how they're getting their 10, 20, 30, 50x ROAS numbers. They're lying to you. That's how they're lying to you. So that's why we use a one-day click, because we want to say, well, if you see an ad today and you buy it today, great. If you see an ad today and you don't buy it today, well, let me try again tomorrow. And then over time, I'm going to understand if I'm not going to spend a month trying to serve you ads and you say no. I'm going to understand really quickly, because after several days of seeing this ad, you've said no, then I'm not going to waste my money on you anymore. It means my campaigns are much more efficient. And it also means when I'm looking at the ads manager, those are much more realistic and honest results. One-day click is actually underreporting the contribution of your Facebook ads. So if your goal is to sell something for $10 and you're selling things for like $12 on Facebook, you're probably actually breaking even, because maybe you see it on Monday morning and you buy Tuesday night. Maybe, that is outside of the one-day click attribution, but we're trying to measure Facebook to succeed in a 24-hour period, because we know that if we get it to win there, business will be good for us long term. You're not trying to get the easiest path. You're trying to get the most honest path, understanding that it makes business harder, but you're actually doing better than the platform tells you. And if you give yourself that excruciatingly honest and difficult way of measuring, you're going to be doing a lot better business long term. So the first two sets that we covered were about turning ads off. I want to cover one other piece, which is what happens if this thing matures, right? So if our ad, it was coming in at like $12, $15, say we get more sales, we get more conversions because of latency or whatever else. If that cost per comes down to $10, we can turn the ad back on. And we're doing this because we want to get sales at $10. So if we're getting something, if say it's 13, 14 bucks, that's not good enough. But maybe you stop spending around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 5 or 6, you've gotten more sales, and that's come down to like 8 or 9 bucks. We'll turn the ad back on because it's still a good ad, and you want to spend more money against that ad. At the ad set level, we can give ourselves a bit more headroom, but still, we want to be pretty aggressive, right? So the ad set level, we can say, hey, 12 bucks. Now remember, we turn this ad off at 12 and a half, but we're saying, if it's costing more than 12 and a half bucks, I'm not interested. But if it matures down to 12, I'm willing to spend more money, because the odds are you've got several ads in there. If you're coming in at 12, you've got a couple ads that didn't make a sale, maybe they got turned off. We probably have a couple in there that are doing really, really well, and they have come in under 10 bucks. Now, if you turn this ad back on, but the ad set is off, well, what good is that? So what you're doing is you're telling Facebook, hey, this ad set is close enough that I'm willing to let the ads inside of it spend money again. The other thing that will happen is, knowing that the number that you see right now inside of Facebook will be, if you were to stop spending right now and you were to look at it tomorrow, your odds are you're going to get at least one, if not more, actions. So that number will come down. So $12 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon might really be $10 tomorrow night at 4 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. So because you've gotten a couple other conversions. So you're letting that turn back on, because what you don't want to have is an ecosystem where you have good ads turned off because of something else. So we're turning that ad back on. Now we go to the campaign level, and this is where maybe you have tried something out, and I think we set it at $15. If the campaigns cost you more than $15, then it's just not working for you. But what if it comes down to 14? If it comes down to 14, okay. Now, if it comes down to 14, but all the ad sets are running at 13 or 14 bucks, then the campaigns turn back on, but none of the ad sets are going to run. Maybe it's at 14, and you've got one ad set that went from $13 down to $9 because you had a couple ads that went from $13 down to $9 or $8 because they had more conversions come throughout the day. Then this campaign automatically turns back on. These ad sets and ads turn back on, and this campaign can spend again. Now this happens every half an hour, all day long. And I set these rules to happen today. So it happens in what we call intraday, today. Now these three sets of rules that we talked about, the zero purchases, if the cost is too expensive, or if the cost drops below a threshold, those three sets of rules will put your entire campaign on autopilot. The only thing you need to do after that is put ads in, new ads in. Now, the only exception to that rule is for us to say, this ad isn't good enough. We've spent a lot of money on it. It goes every day, and it just doesn't work. Now, in that case, Facebook will eventually stop spending on the ad, but we can also have rules to say that if an ad spent a certain amount of money and we're not happy with it, to just stop spending. Which we can get into it another time. I just want you to know that that exists, but you don't have to worry about it because Facebook will optimize the delivery of ads. Facebook will know this ad hasn't gotten any spend because we shut it down all the time, and it's just not doing good enough. And then other ads, because Facebook wants to get you the lowest cost, other ads are getting way more spend, and they're actually delivering me they're more efficient. Facebook will, but just the algorithm by itself will stop spending money on the bad ads and spend money on the good ads because it wants you to spend more money, and it knows that that's how more money is going to be spent, and that that's a more efficient ad. And if it's a more efficient ad, it's more efficient because the people on Facebook or on Instagram enjoy looking at that ad and interacting with that ad more than they do something else. And Facebook's ultimate goal is to create a good user experience for the people on Facebook. Otherwise, all those people will leave Facebook and we'll all be out of jobs, as well as Facebook. And they make a shit ton of money on ads. If there's nobody to advertise to, then they'll stop making money. So their goal is to make the user experience as good as possible. And they do that by making ads that people don't like really expensive and ads that people do like really cheap. So your number one goal after you set up this automation is to do creative testing and come up with really good ads that people like. So it's just that easy. We went over 9 rules today. If you employ these 9 rules, actually I think we went over 12 because we did the reactivation. If you employ these 12 rules on any campaign, I guarantee you that, well, I'm not going to guarantee you because nothing's guaranteed. My experience has shown that that campaign will run better and better over time, and that you will do less work. I guess I can guarantee you that you'll be spending less time managing it because the rules will be doing the work for you. You have now trained, you're essentially programming Facebook. It's a way of modifying the Facebook algorithm to work for you, where you've defined what your goals are, and Facebook will begin to spend money to help you achieve those goals, because that's Facebook's business model. It's to make you happy. So hopefully that all makes sense. I feel good about it. I try to be real nice and controlled on it. You know, a lot of times I'm chugging coffee and I'm a little bit too much for you guys, but hopefully that helps. So anyway, now we're getting into the questions. All right. So, and usually I'm a bit more animated too. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I've got a guest, and so I'm trying, which is why I'm in a different room today. I'm trying to be respectful and not just yell at people all day long. And I have to host a concert tonight, so I'm going to be working my ass off starting at 6, 7 o'clock. Anyway, down to the nuts and bolts. Question number 1 comes from Abdullah. Abdullah asks, do you recommend broad targeting in all kinds of scenarios? Let's say you're promoting something that appeals to a very specific group of people and repels others. For example, a religious product or something political. Imagine a Donald Trump t-shirt that would appeal to Trump fans and repel every Trump hater. Or a faith-based thing that appeals to one faith and repels others. Do you suggest broad targeting? It might repel a lot of people, may receive trolls or hate comments, so why would I even want such people to see my ads? Why wouldn't I do interest targeting to reach my ideal kind of people? Hope you understand. So, Abdullah, great question. Years and years ago, I actually used to do a lot of t-shirts. So I really understand where you're coming from here. So I want to answer this in 2 ways. Number 1, I do recommend broad targeting for everybody. And yes, you will get a lot of negative feedback from people. What I have found is that one of the things you must do every day is go through all of your ads and delete bad comments. If you delete the bad comment, then there won't be bad comments there, and Facebook doesn't penalize you for that. Also, if you are producing something that can be very polarizing, understand that it will take some time to see really stable and scalable results, because the platform's going to have to understand who's good and who's bad. Now, why would I suggest doing that process instead of just interest targeting? Interest targeting can be very expensive. The CPMs on interest targeting tend to be very high, especially when it's very niche targeting. And that's because you have taken a group of 100 million people down to 2 million people, and you are one of probably hundreds of advertisers competing to try to target that person. As a result, you're probably not reaching the best people. You are paying extra money to reach less people. And you're giving the system far less signals, which means that while you might have some initial results that you like, the odds of that working long-term for you are very, very low. The kind of stuff that I teach here is to produce a system that is very stable. If it's stable, then you can increase your budget on it and you can scale your campaign. Most people try to get a win in very isolated spaces, and then they ramp up their budget and it fails. And it's because they don't have a stable ecosystem. They've gotten lucky a few times and then they've chased it. They're losing money. It's like going to Vegas, or it's like any gambling. If you pull some scratch off lottery tickets and you win $100, the correct answer isn't to buy 200 scratch lottery tickets, because you're probably going to end up losing at least $100 you made and a lot more. And it's not because they're trying to trick you. It's because the money you made wasn't something that you can rely on. The success that you had wasn't something stable. It wasn't reproducible. And if it's not stable and it's not reproducible, then it's not worth investing your money in. Your ultimate goal is to find something that works to the broadest group of people so that you can spend the most amount of money. If you find something that works against an audience of 10 million 50 million or 100 million. You can spend against that audience for weeks or months or years, and you can increase your budget on a regular basis. That's how I've taken accounts from $1,000 a day to $50,000 a day. And it doesn't happen overnight. Hey. Okay, come here, puppy. So yeah, so we got a guest in the studio right now. Where's he at? There he is. There's the puppy. There he is, right there. Boop. Anyway, so that being said, my advice to you would be to definitely target broad people, broad audiences. Understand that yes, you're going to upset people, especially with religious things or political things. But you're also going to get fanatics that really, really want to buy your product. So Facebook is hip enough. Facebook will read the words in your ad, the actual words and the pictures of the ad. It'll see the pictures that you're using. It'll see the video that you're using. Facebook's algorithm literally will go into and evaluate everything inside of your video to understand what your video is promoting, and then try to find people that respond to those elements. It's extraordinarily smart. So I would say the reason I wouldn't do interest targeting is because you're going to limit the quality of person that you're reaching, and you're going to be paying extra money to reach them. You will probably see good results right away, and then odds are you'll try to chase that by spending more money. And if you want to spend more money on ads and you want to have success and you don't want to lose all of your profits, then you're going to have to rely on something that will work more than a few days, because you won't stop spending. If you spend $50 a day for 3 or 4 days and you have a great return on ad spend, odds are, I'm going to assume that you're not going to say, well, that was cool, and then you put your money in your pocket and walk away. You're going to say, well, this is working for me, let me throw a bunch of money at it, and then you're going to lose money for the next few days, and you'll actually have lost money on the total adventure. So don't do that. That's really bad business. Losing money for a long time is bad. Question number 2 from Abdullah. Great questions, by the way. Question number 2. Why would you run the same ads in bottom of funnel and top of funnel? Why would you want people to see the same ad twice? BOF, bottom of funnel, is retargeting. Top of funnel is prospecting. First touch versus second touch, stuff like that, just so you get where we're going. So let's say I run a martial arts class booking campaign and I want leads. My top of funnel ad would be talking about the offer, and then what call to actions such as book now, there's only 27 seats left. So what he's saying is he has an offer that he has an ad that he's pushing out to everybody that says, hey, I have a class and there's only a few spots left in the class, buy now. Then my bottom of funnel retargeting would say, hey, hurry up, classes are getting filled and only 6 seats remaining. Then it would go to a different page that says 6 seats remaining. The point is, I want the messaging to be different in retargeting and for it to have more urgency. Am I doing it wrong? If you have suggested to run the same ad in top of funnel and bottom of funnel, making no changes. So what he's saying is, and is absolutely a best practice 3 years ago, and I still see taught all the time by people that don't actually run ads. They just spend their time speaking at big old conventions. And have banned me from all their Facebook groups and will not pay me to speak at their meetings, because basically my entire pitch is to say that everybody else on the dais is full of shit. So first off, I want to say that absolutely makes sense what you're talking about. Put up an ad and then retarget them with something that has more urgency. Now, why is that bad? So remember we were talking about Facebook needs as much data. It needs all the signals. It needs you to spend as much money. When you spend money against an ad, Facebook learns what a good impression is and a bad impression. In this case, first off, Facebook's going to show that ad to somebody, top of funnel or bottom funnel, plenty of times. If you're bottom of funnel, in this case, you're saying there's only 6 seats left, and I don't buy, and then I see that ad again later today or tomorrow or 2 days from now, I know that you're full of shit on it being immediate. Because I saw the first ad, it said 27 people, and then 3 hours later, I'm seeing an ad that says there's only 6, and then 3 days later, it's saying there's only 6. Immediately, the concept of the urgency that you're trying to trick me into is garbage. I know that you're full of shit, and you're not going to get my sale. You're not going to get my money. That happens the vast majority of times. Facebook, people will know. Also, it's an old trick. People will know that you're full of shit. There's no way to update the copy of a Facebook ad. So when somebody sees, hey, this ad there are comments on this ad from 3 weeks ago, how are there still 6 seats left? You're a liar, and people are going to know that you're a liar. And if they know that you're a liar by looking at the ad, they're sure as fuck not going to go to your website to buy a product from somebody they can't trust. So with that being said, right away, the entire theory of this retargeting with urgency piece is thrown out the window. Now, you can retarget with urgency by saying in an email afterwards, buy now, get free shipping, or buy 2, get 1 free, or something along those lines. That absolutely makes sense because you're saying, well, buy 2, get 1 free for the next 24 hours. That's urgency, but it's also providing more value. If you provide more value or lower your cost, then you're eliminating those barriers to somebody making the purchase. And I always say provide more value, don't reduce your cost, because every time you have to sell somebody on something, it costs you more money. Eventually, you're just going to reduce your cost to the point where you're losing money outright, and that's, again, really bad business. So that's why the theory is wrong. Now, why do I say to use the same ad in top of funnel and bottom of funnel? So Facebook is looking at the data from your ad, right? It's looking at what ads do people respond to, what ads make people buy, what ads do people comment on, what does somebody look like that really likes this ad versus somebody that doesn't really like this ad. Now, if you run an ad to 100 million strangers, odds are they're not going to like it. If you run that ad to 50 people that are super interested, odds are they're going to like it. If you tell Facebook that if you let the ad going out to 100 million people see who those 50 people are that really like it, if you let that one ad see, if that one ad that's going out to only 50 people that understands, oh, these people like it, these people don't, and then you send that ad out into the world, it's going to be much better for you. It's like a salesman. If you have a salesman who's only knocking on doors trying to sell shit, they're going to have a really hard time being successful. Versus if you have a salesman who's answering the call of somebody wanting to buy something, they're going to understand much more quickly who are good people and who are bad people. So when you use the ad at the top and bottom of funnel in prospecting and retargeting, you're letting that ad learn who good people are and who bad people are. In addition, because that ad is seeing really positive results, the cost of running that ad gets cheaper and cheaper, so you'll actually pay lower CPMs long term. It's actually just much more efficient for you. So hopefully that makes sense. It's all about simplifying your ad spends, simplifying your accounts so that you spend more money in fewer places, so that those places become smarter, work harder, and become more efficient. And that Facebook begins to favor you as an advertiser over somebody else, because the only ads that you're still running because of all this automation and optimization are ones that people like. Yeah, so you're not tricking the system, you're just letting it deliver results that you want, and you're getting rewarded for that. Claudio asks, should I reset the budget at nights and force Facebook to get cheap conversions? Now, I'm not really sure what you mean by reset the budget at nights. I'm going to assume that what you mean is a strategy that I've seen where people, and I've seen a lot of people hawk it lately, and it's not good. Well, they say, well, I start the budget at $100, and if I see really good results by 9, I'm going to bump it to 500, and if I see really good results, I'll spend 1,000, and then at night I'll turn it back. I recommend not doing that because changes in the budget can force the campaign to relearn. So when you're asking Facebook to spend $100 a day, it's looking at a certain type of person. It's looking at the most likely individuals. When you ask it to spend $1,000 a day, the quality of person that Facebook is showing your ads to goes way down. And it will force the ads to go into relearning because the ad that works against the very bottom barrel people, the cheapest people, won't necessarily work when you're asking it to go after other folks. There's some ads that work at high budget levels, and there's some ads that work at low budget levels. When you change that budget throughout the day, you're basically erasing all of that data, all of that learning, or you're having it work against itself. So while it can work in the short term, it is one, extremely difficult and high labor to get done. If you want to manage your Facebook every hour or 2 hours and just ramp up budgets on things that are working, reset them every night, that's a lot of work. You can also set rules to do it. But it's a pain in the ass. And two, you're not building a system that's built on stability. And three, it's basically assuming that you have an unlimited budget. And almost none of us have an unlimited budget. So I would recommend against it if that's the strategy that you're referring to. I know the guys that came up with that strategy, and they do have an unlimited budget, and their last sales pitch had been running for about 6 months, and they needed a new one. And, well, we don't really get along because I poke holes in all their shit all the time. But hey, it looks really fucking good on a sheet of paper, and it's super exciting inside of a conference. So it'll make you buy a ticket, and you spend hundreds or thousands of dollars learning that strategy. But I just told it to you and why it's not good. All right, last question. Stefan says, Facebook is going nuts on banning my accounts and business managers. They won't respond to my tickets anymore, and the chat is giving no useful answer as always. I have 1 business manager left. I have 3, and 2 are already banned. I've appealed both, but the appeals were denied 3 times. I'm running ads that are 100% legit, just normal physical products. No health or risky products. How can I make sure Facebook don't shut down my last business manager? Well, what I would say, Stefan, is you might be running a very legitimate business. However, I would look at the products. While your Facebook ads themselves might be promoting quality products, if there are ads on your site that aren't quality or that might be violating terms, or if your site is set up in a way where users can't navigate from the landing page, or if any of the images or videos of any of the products that you've promoted on those accounts are being used by other advertisers who are breaking the rules and they're getting shut down, Facebook will shut you down too. I'm going to assume that this is probably around a drop shipping situation and that you've found several products that really work for you. My advice is buy those products, get them sent to your house, take your own pictures, take your own videos, make your own ads, and build your own site from scratch that only features products that you personally have, and run those. And also make sure that you're not violating any terms and conditions built around audiences. If you do that, I would be stunned if your ad account gets shut down. Most people that I know that are getting their ad account shut down are people that have, tried to cheat the system here and there, and that are using products that many other people are using, and they're using creatives that many other people are using, and they have websites that may or may not be fully built, or may be difficult, or they're selling some legitimate stuff and some illegitimate stuff. If you want to make sure that your ad account is stable, then make sure that, and by stable I mean not getting shut down, make sure that you're running a legitimate business that completely complies with Facebook. If that's the case, then you shouldn't have any issue. Also, if you want to, I would recommend making maybe a new Facebook account purely for your business, and set up a new website purely for your business that is all legit. So that you can basically have this walled garden that is where you're starting from scratch, and you're throwing away all of the other things that you did that may or may not have been legitimate. I don't know yet. I'm just trying to guess because I see this question a lot from people. So I'm trying to give the answer that fits the most people. So anyway, I guess that's about it. So thank you guys so much, and I hope this made a lot of sense, and I'll see you next week. All right, bye.